Welcome back to Raised by Giants live discussion. Good to see everyone. Welcome everyone in the chat and any moderators and channel members out there, and to anyone that's listening to the replay. Thanks for joining us. And if you're listening on audio only, welcome to the show. If you're watching on YouTube or X, be sure to follow the audio only on any and all podcast platforms. You can set it to where the shows are automatically downloaded upon release, so you never miss a show. YouTube doesn't always send out notifications, so the podcast version is the next best thing. I am currently hard at work with my next documentary, Psychic Agent. So while we wait on that, check out my other documentaries on Amazon Prime and Tubi, JFKX, Solving the Crime of the Century, and A Clockwork, Shining, Kubrick's Odyssey 3. The links are in the description. And with that down, we have with us today Donut from the Donut Factory YouTube channel, here with us to share strange news, phenomenons, occult symbols in media, movies, and TV. Donut, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much, Ryder Lee. It's great to be back here with you. Thank you.
Man, we got a lot going on. But first, when's the last time that you ever watched a commercial, Donut, and you said, oh man, I got to have that thing? I was watching YouTube the other day, and I was watching Hulu and a bunch of different shows, and I got the ad tier supported version of those because the ad free thing is so ridiculously expensive. They've increased their prices, and I'm watching these commercials and I'm like, they have to be losing money on these commercials. I have not once ever seen a commercial for a product or a service and thought to myself, man, I need to go out there and get that product and get that service right away. So there has to be something deeper on a subconscious level that is programming us to want to, because it doesn't happen right away, right? It's something that simmers in your brain. I'm sure you would agree with me on this. It's something that simmers in your brain, and it gives you the idea. So whenever it gives you the familiarity of it. So whenever you go to the store, you'll instantly recognize a big brand because you've seen it like 100 times, or you saw it 100 times on TV, right?
It's the power of perspective, the image, the marketing, part of a hypnosis process of priming as well. Having the same ads over and over again, at least 10 times it takes before someone actually does purchase the product. But there's different levels of power where you got making money as one image of power, but controlling the robots is the big power. And that is being able to control the worldview of whoever is partaking in the simulacra and becoming this ideal image of the billboard. So that would be having the perspective. It's mind warfare. It's psychic warfare. I would say it's soul warfare, going into controlling the soul of a person through their perspective. And if you can imprint them at a young age, like what we get with Nickelodeon and Disney films or whatever it is, a Happy Meal, then you'll have them for life, because the idea and worldview that gets imprinted by 7 will be there in their actual body, their physical survival mechanism will be attached, unlike a brainwashing, but a belief programming into the autonomic nervous system. And this could be used for a nation or a religion or whatever it is, a football team or a celebrity that we grow up watching. We watch these celebrities, for example, since we're kids, and then we see them grow up and then get into all this mischief. And what this mischief is also a program for us to rebel at a certain age where it's actually healthy to, but to rebel the way that we're programmed to rebel. So it goes on so many different levels when we're talking about marketing, whether that's propaganda of eating bacon and eggs for breakfast, or what brand of cigarettes to take, or which way to lean politically, ideologically, to vote to, have a vote. Because we're really motivated by fear and greed. And if they could put us into a fear-based survival mode, It will make us feel special, like, oh, we're so special, we have to survive. Marketers understand the psychology. This is why there's been such a big push on anti philosophy, anti psychology, going back to all the great philosophers and psychologists. And there's a big push not to look into that coming up from the higher ups, because they understand this mechanism of control of cybernetics and all this, but we're not supposed to know about it. So there's a much higher level. It's not just for you to purchase the product. For example, Coca-Cola. We think that's just the drink, but why are they going to be at Davos this year at the WEF? Because it's a political agenda, just like Ben and Jerry's or Baskin Robbins. I don't know the name of it. They're a political organization on paper. They're not an ice cream company. So there's a lot to the mind control with product placement.
I don't think even the pharmaceutical ads too, right? Donut, like the pharmaceutical ads, ask your doctor if Victarvi is right for you. I don't know anybody in the world that has ever seen a pharmaceutical ad and went to the doctor and said, "Oh, I think that I need Victarvi."
And this is making me think about the Economist magazine. The cover of the 2026 edition is showing all the weight loss pills.
Yeah.
And this seems to be in the zeitgeist, which I think is connected to the wicked smart cities of the technocracy, where it's all about conserving energy and the socialist energy credit system being built. And losing weight, I think, is pushed into the zeitgeist, whether that's magazines of the teens magazine, where they make the girls really skinny and look like boys, or if it's really heavy people, we see Jelly Roll, shout out to Jelly, or I think it's the other actress as well, who was really big, who lost a lot of weight. We're seeing this in the zeitgeist because the AI doesn't need food. It doesn't need forest. What's up with all these fires? It needs energy to power it. And so I think there is a connection to what's even going on right now in our world for plans that are coming up into the future.
This person says that I'm wrong, that people do go to the, well, I don't personally know anybody that goes to the doctor and asks their doctor about a commercial that they've seen on TV. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm just saying that I don't know anybody that does. I sure haven't ever done that, which I don't go to the doctor anyway. But I mean, all that they want to do is put you on all kinds of medications anyway. They just want to push all kinds of medications on you. And the Ozempic thing and the weight loss drugs. It's really interesting, Donut, how, and I'm not going to say it, how people were against that one thing that happened in 2020 because it was an injection. And now they're like, oh, if it's of benefit for me, it's going to make me lose weight, then yeah, give me that injection. They should have just made the other thing also a weight loss thing.
So I've been looking into a lot of these different brands, like this Lilly brand, this pretty crazy stuff. And these new articles that are coming out about the Chads and how they're doing meth. And this goes all the way back to even the big socialist movement of the 40s, where they were on the Pervitin, which is just meth. And today, Gen Z, who's being promoted to socialism, whether that's on the left or the right, it's all moving towards either fascism, communism, socialism, or technocracy. And they're all ADHD on the same sort of type of, uppers in a way. But this goes even deeper. How many mind-altering substances are out there? We can talk about alcohol. We could talk about the big push for people to take plants. And so it seems like everybody has an altered state of consciousness. It's pretty nuts, and I think that is all deliberate, and it's nothing new. This goes all the way back to the Eleusinian mystery cults in different ways to have different shamanic experiences. But now the shamanic experience is happening with scrolling, which I think is kind of a weird term. All these terms are strange. You got the Dead Sea Scrolls, right? What is a scroll? People are doom scrolling. And Timothy Leary, the next frontier of drop out and unplug was to plug in into the cyberdelics. So I believe here in the future with the VR goggles, the Oculus, and what's being set up where we'll have a simulacra of living like a king and queen. We'll own nothing, but we will be a king and queen in the metaverse that will also be pretty much tripping through the cyberdelics. So the control system and the technology being applied is way more advanced. So I've been looking at this recent story that just dropped today where this Havana syndrome is back in the news. And it's a topic that is in the news, out of the news, in the news. It's real, it's fake, it's always switching. But it's something I've been looking at for a while. I don't know if you were able to catch that, but they're saying that Venezuela and the Maduro capture was operated through this new technology, which goes into fifth generation warfare. And I think this new technology has been being test grounded in America before it moved to South America, because I've been documenting different events where people were just fainting. They'd go to these different political rallies and they would just faint. Like not just one person, tons of people fainting. I was at the Charlie Kirk Memorial here in Arizona I think it was on the 33rd parallel. And it was like a war zone when we were outside. People left and right were fainting. It was kind of nuts. It was very strange. And it reminded me of when President Trump had a political rally, which was awkward, where he was just dancing and they were just playing music and people were just fainting all over the place. And then tying that even back to the Travis Scott event, where people were just fainting in that crowd that took place on November 5th on Kris Jenner's birthday, as they were celebrating watching this tragic Astroworld event on TV, but also celebrating the birthday. And I think there's a correlation to birthdays, dates, astrological alignments with these rituals or simulations. And even the lockdowns seemed to be a simulation. It was called the 19. And in numerology, connected with like the alphabet, 1 being A, 9 being I, AI. After that 2-year ritual, we were given the AI. But that AI has been used all during the lockdowns with the Palantir technologies and whatnot. So they've had different ways of using this, super advanced technology that we're not using. And we're not even going to be able to use the good AI. The AI is becoming even stupider. It's becoming more stupider.
We're using that poor AI, Donut. We got that poor AI.
We got that Ready Player One poor AI.
There's a few things that I want to bring up here. This is why I love talking with you, because you rack my brain and you make me think of things that I haven't thought about in a really long time. Really enjoy speaking with you, Donut. You do really good work. So in 2017, there was a statistic that said that over 50% of the population, over 50% of the US population was on some form of pharmaceutical drug. Okay. And I'm sure that has only increased. I haven't seen any recent ones because I haven't looked it up. So they want you on pharmaceutical medications because all of those pharmaceutical medications came out of the MK Ultra programs. Okay. almost every single thing was a concoction and was tested on within the CIA's MK Ultra programs. Caffeine, Adderall, uh, nicotine, marijuana, all of it. There's an entire list of over 200 drugs that were used in the MK Ultra programs. It just wasn't LSD. And then it comes out, oh, well, later on, what are we going to do? We're going to give these kids Adderall, and Ritalin, which is essentially just methamphetamine. But when you're talking about the black, it reminded me a lot of Black Mirror, and now you're talking about this technocracy thing, because that's essentially what these phones are. They're scrying mirrors, and that's what the ancients would use. They would use like this obsidian polished stone, and they would go into a meditative state to try and predict future events. That's what a scrying mirror is in ancient terms. But the thing that came to the forefront of my mind when you're talking about Trump and the Charlie Kirk memorial and all that, do you remember this story that happened before the 2024 election? I think that it happened in Arizona, which I'm now just connecting all these dots because you triggered my memory, where Trump was doing a rally and all of the people that were behind him all got deathly sick. Do you remember that? He walked up and
multiple times. It was at multiple different rallies. I even think I made a slide about it and found it and re-pulled it up. You don't have to share it or anything, but people fainting, Trump's Pennsylvania town hall interrupted by emergencies into his concert. Yeah, so that definitely was going on. And even Taylor Swift, this is why I'm happy I put together the slides to go back to, because I totally forgot. Even at Taylor Swift's concert, people would go, leave, and forgot that they even went to the concert.
Unbelievable. And then you have that, what was that one concert where, who was the guy that was performing where the people died?
Mm-hmm. That was the Travis Scott concert where the same thing, people fainting. And this goes back to maybe even Pearl Jam concert. There's a correlation to that, even before that.
Yes, there's a lot of connections here and a lot of things that are triggering my memory, and that's kind of putting all these pieces together. And definitely stuff with Arizona, because I'm pretty sure that is where that Trump event happened, where, and I'm not sure if someone died. I think that, if my memory is serving me correctly, don't quote me, but I think someone died. They got deathly sick and died at that event.
Well, even at the Butler event, nobody was running away. Usually when some kind of event happens like that, people would be freaking out. People were just standing around and not doing anything. Sure, there's the fight, flight, or freeze mechanism that happens in certain situations, and no one really knows how they're going to respond in a situation that is pretty nuts. But it was interesting that nobody ran away during Butler. They just were posted. They're like, what's going on? We see the Charlie event. Everyone was stampeding, running, and freaking out. So that was also kind of strange too. What kind of technology could be being used going into the different frequencies? And music plays a huge role in rituals. And this new Super Bowl that's coming up, which is one of the biggest rituals, where they do a lot of the programming and a lot of the advertisements, is all about music, right? It's all about playing music. When you go to a ritual, whether that's at a wedding or whether that's a religious ceremony, music is always involved, and it taps into a language that words can't, describe, put into words. So when you're watching a film, if it's the same thing, Jordan Maxwell talked about it, that certain music will come in at certain moments, and then you will just start getting emotional because it's speaking to a certain, it's a language that we can't express. It's a certain frequency.
Yeah, some people are bringing up the dancing plague in the chat, which is a really interesting one as well.
That one is wild. The dancing mania, where people just started to dance and they couldn't stop, and people starved to death by dancing.
Hey man, dancing activates a lot of different stuff. I think that it keeps you happy. I like to dance. I'm a
I
dancing dude.
dance every Friday night in front of my mirror.
You have to. I mean, literally, it'll help boost your mood. It is like one of the greatest things, I think, personally. I
It's
love
all about getting, they're talking about Maha and MAGA, and the way I look at it is make Alex great again or make Alex healthy again. And so I really took the make Alex healthy again really seriously for this year. And I've been doing the bioenergetic type works of Alexander Lowen or the William Reich ideas of the body armor, and just the idea of that emotions get stored in the body. We're mostly water, and still waters run deep. And being active has really been a missing ingredient in my mental health, dealing with whether that's anxiety or feeling nutty or whatever it is, feeling donutty. The movement is so important, and that's been a missing factor. And I've been really doing a lot more exercises that it's been great.
Someone brought up Stranger Things here. Did you watch the new season of Stranger Things, Donut?
I sure did. Yes. It wasn't my favorite season.
Well, really quickly, because you were talking about this technology that may be able to hypnotize people, there was something in that new season that essentially did that. You know, remember those things that the military brought out to like incapacitate 11?
Yes, it was the riot sound frequencies. That's a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of the new season? What occult symbology did you see in there? I know that there's a lot of stuff about the bridge in there. People are really going on about I mean, there's a lot of bridge symbology. Even one of the titles of one of the episodes was named The Bridge. And then you remember bridge, that boat that hit the bridge in, where was it, New York? Was that
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. It is the bridge is a huge part of what myself and a lot of others have been looking into. There's so many stories in the news of the Rainbow Bridge and bridges collapsing, and that's why I've been looking out, and many others, at the San Francisco Bridge. And my prediction is that it will be a torpedo to take it down and blamed on North Korea. So that's one of my predictions for 2026. I like to be very specific. I called the Venezuela being the big news years ago. I've been very consistent with my narrative since I started during the lockdowns to today. I have changed my perspective from new information I gathered. But for the most part, it's been pretty consistent because I was going back and looking at the Super Bowl rituals and what I was talking about 4 or 5 years ago or 7 years ago. This is a crazy thing that the lockdowns were 7 years ago. Isn't that nuts?
Well, there's something other. Do you remember X-Men 3?
I
Movie
don't
X-Men
remember
3?
that one.
Okay, well, at the end of X-Men 3, spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't watched X-Men 3, I think it's worth a rewatch. It was my least favorite of the X-Men original trilogy, but going back and watching all of them all back to back, I did it a couple of years ago, and I was kind of mind blown by the things that were actually going on that they were portraying in those movies. Well, at the end of X-Men 3, there's this war against Magneto and all of the X-Men, right? And Magneto is out there and he dismantles the Golden Gate Bridge
Really?
and turns it around and then lands it on like this island. I don't know if it's specifically the Golden Gate Bridge, but it looks like it's a giant bridge. It looks like the Golden Gate Bridge. You would have to look it up and Google it, but it's
So
very interesting.
going back to the Stranger Things, because I didn't answer your question on what I saw in that. is the writing was very emotionally charged. It was pathetic. The storyline, the acting, everything about the show sucked except for the graphics coming from a filmmaking standpoint of my own opinion, which everyone has an opinion, uh, you know, and the occult stuff to it. I tie it all into Sodomic butthole portal rituals, is what I call it. Because you have this coming out party with this kid who's the reason this portal was open from the beginning of the season, the first season in the episodes. And he's the most powerful sorcerer there. And so I'm tying it into, there's a lot of occult, Crowley type ritual there that's very deep. And Stranger Things is all about time as well. Vecna, there's always the grandfather clock with him, just like the Skull and Bones, they get awarded the grandfather clock. And the time, they released it on New Year's, right? Resetting the Gregorian calendar. They released it on Christmas. Saturnalia, Saturn, father of time. Everything was connected to time. And even symbolically at the coming out party, there was 12 of them surrounding the kid. And then the other group at the same time was doing a ritual, and there was 12 of them as well for the different time. But it's also connected to the astrological alignments as well. It was very, very deep, and it's something that I must need to research and read again. You see these symbols all over these hit TV shows. It's interesting, and the more you dive into symbols, there's two stories being told. There's the exoteric for the plebes, and then there's the esoteric for the very few initiates that understand the deeper knowledge of what's being told. And I think that this upcoming Super Bowl, my prediction is it's going to be very robotic. We're going to get robots, and the robots are going to be mating. And this is part of that fertility rite of my prediction of what's to come. And I think Billie Eilish will be playing a role in it. And those are my predictions for the Super Bowl halftime ritual.
And that's Bad Bunny, right? Bad Bunny is a very interesting choice.
Bad Bunny at the VMAs during the lockdowns, or a few years ago, he showed these Tesla robots twerking. And this is before the Optimus was released. So no one knew what the Tesla robots were going to look like. Seriously, like the next day or that week, they released the image of the Optimus robot. And so there's a correlation to lovemaking and affection in the Reese monkey experiments with the robots and the AI. Becoming one with the AI, merging with the AI. The way that we're going to be seduced as a society is through these relationships, like in the movie Him, where the girls have relationships with ChatGPT as their boyfriend, or the guys have relationships with Grok as their girlfriend. And right now it's just a texting thing. But eventually, what we're seeing with Kim Kardashian and other top, simulacra billboards for us to ideally imitate is their relationships with the robots. And this really gets into falling in love with the AI and all that. And through the Super Bowl rituals, that's what's going to be shown. If you look at the Super Bowl symbol for 2026.
Do you have this on the slide so people can see it?
Sure. Let me pull that up. It is the colors of a certain flag, which the exoteric means something, but the esoteric symbolism of it, I believe, goes into man merging with machine. Sorry, I got to find it. I got slides. They're kind of all over the place.
Do not get slides for days.
Yeah, I got a bunch of, oh, here it is. I found it. So this image, if you look at the trophy, which is the phallic, it is pink and blue. This is what Tyler Robinson was wearing. The man who, or I don't know, the furry, the he was wearing the pink and blue tie. This has very deep symbols to the trophy on the meaning, and the esoteric meaning of it goes into man merging with machine. The exoteric meaning has something totally different. And so I believe this will be sort of like one of those moments of the Olympics, how everyone was so mad that they were doing these rituals that are very ancient, and people were very upset with it. They had a satanic panic. The same thing I think will happen at this Super Bowl, because it's just in the ethos to get everybody mad at each other, everybody pissed off at each other because their autonomic nervous system has been activated into a survival mechanism of a tribal, and this is a tribal event. It's an imitation of warfare. But we're hearing about all these people being removed from sports because of certain identities. And so this is the biggest sports ritual, and it's the flag of certain identities as well. So I believe it'll be just a chaos type of divide, conquer ideologically for it. And so this is kind of where I'm getting that, predictive programming symbolically. If that makes any sense. If I wasn't explaining that, I apologize.
Wasn't the last year was Kendrick Lamar? The year before that was The Weekend.
So the weekend, let me see if I could pull up some slides. I gotta find the correct slides of where I put that, because I got, okay, I think right here might be it. Yeah, okay, this is some of the good slides. So this is the newest video that was released by Elon. It was pretty dope. It just showing the, relationships we're going to be having for the future in the year of the methylene Lucifer horses. And these robots with the red eyes, this is the same symbolism of, let's say, like the Terminator, right?
Sure.
And this has been my consistency, looking at Billie Eilish, looking at the Super Bowl, and connecting it to the UN. So I've been very consistent on my messaging and the research. But here is the weekend. And I even said wars on the horizon. This is an older video 4 years ago when I was actually got a strike on Rumble. And you see, it's all men, right? So there was no fertility. These are fertility rights. Here's The Economist magazine around that same time, showing the importance of gambling. And I think that this year they're going to maybe pump the markets before the Super Bowl. I don't know. I'm not a financial person at all. I'm pretty stupid when it comes to that stuff. But I believe they're going to pump the markets to get people greedy and rug pull everybody. And that's kind of what I think. And here is this ritual going on where you had the weekend being this Project Blue Beam type angelic being coming down with the same red eyes like a robot. And remember, this is when everybody was not allowed to leave. We had to stay home. And even in The Economist magazine for that year, it showed all of that happening in there, which I won't get into. But these go into portals. So here's the woman, and then where her portal would be, the womb or the matrix, he's coming in and out of there. The symbolism was, these look like graves, but they're building. So there's an esoteric, exoteric, and all the robots there with the red eyes in this graveyard, which behind them, it says, touch yours alone. So it's a fertility rite, but there's no fertility because it was all men and we're all alone touching ours alone. It's long enough, but we were touching it alone. So there was no fertility, unlike the Rihanna one where she revealed that she was pregnant. So these Super Bowl rituals are connected to Ishtar. Here's the Ishtar logo at the top while everyone's performing. Ishtar is connected to like a gateway portal. Here's some of the predictive programming, how kind of going back in time, how the LA Rams were the same color of this big event. And the football it looked very much like it was predicting something. And that was the big color coding. Everyone had their flags up on their emojis of the blue and yellow. So there just seems to be a religious type ritual going on here. And we could tie it back to the New Year's ritual where you had Miley Cyrus and Dolly Parton performing under this arch, wearing the black and white, to even the Golden Globes that just took place, where they're also wearing the exact same color coding of the duality checkerboard. And here's Rihanna. She's an egg. There's always egg shortages during the Super Bowl because it goes into fertility. And she's dressed as the yolk. It's the serpent, her hair, so it goes into the Orphic egg. Here's some more Ishtar symbolism of Kendrick Lamar before he performed the big ritual. They Not Like Us, but then that was, covering up for the loyalty he has, his royal loyalty about the jeans while he's wearing the bell-bottom jeans in his DNA. And then here is Kendrick Lamar making the Star of Ishtar over a portal, over a gateway. He's over Compton, the gateway city, making the Star of Ishtar, which we see maybe with Janet Jackson when she revealed her nipple and it had the Star of Ishtar on it. And I could continue unless you want me to stop for a second.
That's wild. I think Lady Gaga also descended from, she was supposed to be a shooting star, right? And Lucifer was, the morning star. That's what it seemed like to me, was because remember, she was on top of the thing and then she drops down, sort of like what happened with The Weeknd. But the Rihanna one is really interesting. I immediately called out that those platforms that she was on were the monoliths from 2001: A Space Odyssey. And then they form a step pyramid in the center, and she's dressed in like all red, like what would be considered an antichrist figure. It was almost like they were trying to portray that she was going to give birth to the Antichrist.
And she revealed like she was pregnant. I know what you're talking about. It was a big pyramid and she was on the top pregnant. And this is sort of going back to some like of the alien god type stuff, where at the top of the pyramid, there would be a platform where the certain woman would be selected for the alien being to come down to mate with them. And then the kid would be part of that lineage.
Yeah.
So that's wild. And here's the Apple Music. So PepsiCo, which I believe used to be called the Brad Corporation, they sold it to Apple Music. Apple Music took over the Super Bowl, and now the Grammys are coming up and Amazon has took over that, Amazon Music. But through the symbols, they're showing the frequency of some sort of frequency, like we were talking about with the Havana, in it. And they even released certain reports of global risks with this same sort of frequency. So just other little tiny symbols that I was looking at. But the interesting thing about Kendrick Lamar ritual, from The Weeknd to Rihanna to Kendrick, is that they introduced a new color code into it. So The Weeknd, Rihanna, they were all wearing the red and white. And then this one, they introduced this blue color coding. So the exoteric meaning of this, people think, oh, it's just the American flag. But the esoteric meaning of this, I believe, goes into man merging with human, man merging with machine. And here's Kanye. He was sharing nothing but explicit videos during the Super Bowl, because this is fertility rites. And here's Ishtar riding the lion. And then you had the Katy Perry one where she's riding the lion. So this is already well known. Here's the last Super Bowl where they did the Ishtar star. That's what it looks like for one of the, touchdowns. I don't know, plays. I don't know what they call it. Here's the weekend after the ceremony. Everyone fainted on the stage. So there's no fertility, but he's very happy because he had his orgasm. And so I look at all these like little things, and I think they mean something. And I'm really happy you started this off with advertising. So right when the Super Bowl ended last year, it showed this word. It said broke the internet ? And there was over 23 million people watching this at that time. And the last word that we got is broke the internet. So we're getting a lot of like messaging of stuff like that. But yeah, no, I got a bunch of different slides up. This is where it's like a Masonic apron, but this is the womb. This is the yoni. He moves into this. He's on this circle pattern, which is like the universe, but he moves into this womb and does this romance. And it's what it is doing. It's showing how this new blue blood is being put into mankind. And it goes into a fertility rite of man merging with the machine. And so Bad Bunny, that will just be a big part of it.
This is also really interesting right here because it's the upside down triangle. Go back to that slide really quickly. So this is the bottom half of the Star of David, and it does symbolize the womb. And the top half of the Star of David is the other triangle that goes the opposite way, which represents the phallic symbol. And both of those together is the merging of man and woman. But someone just brought up here in the chat that it looks like the upside down food pyramid, which has just happened. RFK switched the food pyramid upside down. So this is now would be, I guess, programming for the future of the flipping of the food pyramid from right side up to upside down.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the MAHA is the MABA, the Make America Biotech Accelerate, that I've been learning on Courtney Turner's research, where everybody is being pushed to be healthier, but by wearing wearables. And the wearables is kind of what Robert Anton Wilson was arguing about, how he had to keep taking these piss tests to get a job. And he wanted to smoke his marijuana. So he was mad that the government was getting into his bladder. And right now, with all the wearables for the AI, they're understanding our own like heart rhythms and whatnot like that with that. So it all goes into technocracy at the end of the day. So this is what I've been studying, because I know it's super important to really connect the dots for the longer vision of where things are going. We're so stuck in the TikTok reels. That's what goes viral, and not the deep dives, because we don't have the attention span to sit and read a book anymore. Gen Z doesn't even know how to read, according to reports coming out with these college campuses. So, yeah, these rituals are, so the Super Bowl, I don't think is one ritual. I think it is a ritual that's going to end in 2028. So from 2020 or maybe 2029, I think, yeah, maybe 2029 after the Olympics, because 9 is the completion number. So from the weekend to 2029 Super Bowl, I believe that will all be one ritual right before the 2030.
So that would be the reset of it would be 2030. It's all leading up to 2030. I mean, that's Agenda 2030 stuff. That's the whole sustainable development plan is these plans by 2030, right?
Yeah, and they have to keep moving it back because it was Agenda 21, which failed miserably, and then they moved it to 2030. But it seems like they're going to have to move it to 2030, and they're even talking about 2050 now. But yeah, it's all the United Nations plans. And so when I was watching the Golden Globes ritual, it was so connected to the UN, it was ridiculous. Their ideologies, their beliefs, the people that are awarded, the everything, the symbols there as well. They're like doing the performance on a UN symbol of the UN symbol. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, talking about those wearable technologies. What is that ring that is really popular right now that you wear? Nova ring? No, I think that's a birth control.
No, I know what you're talking about. The ring thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some kind of ring or something that's really popular. It's like $700 or something, and then it connects to your phone, and then it gives you all of your vitals and how many steps that you've walked and all that. But there's already that type of health app on your phone now, like that Apple makes you sign into. Like you can't delete it.
You
It's
can't
there.
get naughty websites anymore without putting in your government ID. So it's just all haptech technologies really just studying the collective group and the collective movements. Twitter was able to predict civil unrest quicker than the police can. And this is why it's all connected to like a technocracy. This is the whole reason for opening up free speech and broadcasting certain like bloodshed rituals or not broadcasting it, and all the social engineering of misinformation and AI. Everything is just a tiptoe into everyone scanning their eyeball to get the iris code so they can reset the internet to see who's an AI and who's not an AI. And you won't be able to do anything on the internet. You can't go on a dating site, a Facebook site, anything without scanning your iris to show that you're not a robot. When we go to a website, we have to click, are you a robot? And click all the different cars and buses and stairs. The next move is to scan your eyeball to get the iris code. And this is kind of interesting because you were bringing up backstage on the facial recognition. And I think that was the beginning of that implementation to this coming universal basic compute.
I mean, that's what it seems like that it was all for, was they want you in a mask because you can change your face with facial recognition software. It's not just scanning your face, it's actually scanning your eyeballs, because each individual person's eyeballs are different. They all are unique. So if they know the exact eyeball, then they know who the exact person is, and they can find them anywhere through facial recognition. So whenever you cover your entire face and you go out and you get all this facial recognition done through the cameras in the supermarket or anywhere, traffic lights have them, anywhere really, they've been deployed everywhere now, then that gives them the ability just to focus on your eyes, to map out your eyes, because that is the most important thing. And even at the airports, okay, are you familiar with this? Where they try and get you to skip the TSA line. Okay. And what they do, Donut, is there's a system to set up. Okay. You have to put both of your hands into the system, and then they scan both of your eyes and make you hold your eyes open to the camera, and they take a retinal photo of your eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the digital.
Skip the TSA line. And that's how they're like, you want to skip the TSA line, bro? You want to get through this quicker? Oh, well, go over here and give us your entire both hand prints, and let us get a facial recognition photo of you on both sides, front and the other side, and then stick your eyeball up to the camera so that we can get a retinal scan of your eyeball.
Yeah, they already got that so down. And the next level of study for the AI is the environmental study. So I wouldn't put it past Trump to even allow these no king protests to operate for like future like chess moves. You know what I'm saying? But these no king protests, the Homeland, Security, which does the TSA, they were showing pictures of the Waymos being attacked, right? Which is Google, which is the biggest search engine. It's what we're streaming on right now on YouTube. They are driving around in the smart city I live in, and they got cameras everywhere, just documenting everything. But the next level for AI that was released by Ivanka Trump, she released this essay that was written about the next level of environmental studies. And Homeland Security showing people attacking the Waymo cars. They weren't showing anything else. That was like the main thing. And the kids were wearing misfit patches. So it's just like another hot topic. This is what you got to follow. It's sort of like a branding thing for control of angst. And once the Waymo cars are being attacked, it's studying the environment. And so it knows what to do in the future if they want to have the Waymos stop all the grids, stop all like by parking and not allowing people to move and whatnot. So things are at such a higher, deeper level than imaginable. Maybe not imaginable. I'm sure we can imagine it, but I like to just talk about weird stuff and different angles and stuff, because people get stuck into one freaking angle or one worldview that's been already pushed on us, especially in the conspiracy world. The conspiracy world, which I'm very much like into forever, for decades and decades, a lot of it is programming, either through an ideology of a victim mindset, a political mindset. It's something to be able to look at different points of view, and that's, I believe, is important.
And the community is getting more and more toxic as the day goes by, but that's a show for another time. Do you remember the movie Leave the World Behind?
Yes.
Where the Teslas were all piled up on the interstate?
Yeah, I'm trying to bring up, I thought I had an image of it somewhere. I don't have the image. But yes.
I thought that was a really strange movie, and it turns out that they don't know who launched the EMP. There was all these pamphlets and things that they found that was blaming all these other different countries, which confusion is a part of their tactic. They want to confuse people on what it is that they're supposed to believe. And if they believe the wrong way, then they'll put out all kinds of mis and disinformation to confuse people even more. So then they fall back onto the one thing that they know, which is normally religion, which is a genius plan if it wasn't so evil. But Leave the World Behind was really, I think that there was something there. I think that is definitely some kind of, I don't want to say predictive programming, because the predictive programming thing has been overused and done into the ground. I don't even think people really even knows exactly what that means, but I think that it's a multiple level, multiple layer thing, just like we were talking about with the advertising in the beginning of the show. The advertising is done on a multi-layer, multi-level coordinated effort, and I think that predictive programming is the exact same thing. It's not only there to maybe predict something that's going to happen in the future, but also for us to accept it and not question it if it does indeed happen, right? So you just kind of, your subconscious has already been used to, it's already been desensitized to something. That's why violence is really important on movies and TV shows and stuff. So then whenever violence actually happens in real life, you've already been desensitized to it. There's multiple layers and multiple levels to all this stuff. But what did you think of Leave the World Behind?
So that was created by the Obama regime, right? So it's political on one front. It was a great film, one of my favorite movies, actually, just because of the filmmaking aspect of it. Unlike Stranger Things last season, the filmmaking of it was great because I do like where the world is ending films, whether that's the Scientologist, not H.G. Wells, but the H.G. Wells uh, one with Tom Cruise, War of the Worlds, or the zombie stuff. I just like it when everything's falling apart and you can like see on the news report behind them, like in Pluribus, the first episode of Pluribus. That is so creative. I think it gives filmmakers an opportunity to be very creative because it's chaos. So it's sort of like we could just do whatever we want, sort of. And so I feel like there's a lot of creativity that goes into the end of the world kind of films and movies, but then it gets later on in the seasons, they run out of creativity and then it just becomes a trash political ideological kind of programming, kind of like the end of Stranger Things. The end of Stranger Things was all about anti-capitalism, and the Leave the World Behind, it was showing what the WEF has been showing through Newt Gingrich, through the Republicans, through the Democrats now, of this programming of a EMP type blackout. And it's all tied into the same symbols of an eclipse. So you got 1 second after, it's the same thing as Leave the World Behind, but it was like pushed to all of Congress to read, and it's very scary. But the cover of it is an eclipse. Leave the World Behind, they're showing like a solar eclipse during it as well. So I do think that movie, filmmaking wise, was great, but there was a lot of messaging and predictive programming in it, which I started to call priming because it does get annoying, just like the word predictive programming. So I started calling it priming, which is a hypnosis technique of getting the subconscious ready for an event. And the dehumanization, the desensitization of the violence that you were talking about is absolutely pushed. And I think it goes on such a high level of not only demoralization, but also tapping into the hidden narcissistic rage of the collective by pushing the games, the violent video games, to the movies, to kind of give them a spiritual cathartic experience, and kind of mind program people with the dehumanization, desensitization as well. But I think it's so deep, that goes back to ancient times and ancient rituals and whatnot. Because why is it so popular?
Yes, I agree 100%. Let's talk more about the Golden Gate Bridge because you mentioned it briefly, and that you had a prediction that it's going to come down and that it's going to be blamed on Korea, you said?
North Korea, I think. I could be wrong. I'm just throwing that out there because of the little priming. That's just what I think is going to happen. That's just I like to be so specific. So if it happens, which I've been very specific before, but I still get no shout outs or whatnot. But you got to take a risk too and be a shot caller, baller, 20-inch blades on the Impala. But yeah, so the San Francisco Bridge, there's just so much symbolism to it. And it's not my own idea of this happening. You were showing X-Men shows it happening. So many different Hollywood films show this happening. San Francisco Bridge is the cover of the football for 2026. And it just seems to be in the code. If there's a organic source code or something, I think there's an organic source code and an organic ley line where even if things aren't planned to be ritual on it, it happens. For example, in Arizona, there's like a lot of history here in like ley lines and energetic like places like Sedona or something like that. That during the Charlie Kirk Turning Point parties that they throw, it's thrown by Bohemian Grove members, but the party that is thrown, I was invited to go to it. Not like I'm like part of like the freaking like Turning Point stuff or whatever. I'm just in Arizona, and that's a huge thing in Arizona, and it's a good thing. It's not like a bad thing, but there seems to be something strange going on, and we all can see that already. And this was before Charlie was assassinated, and I went to this thing. It was very weird. I left early because I didn't vibe with anybody. It was a bunch of podcasters there, and I tried to talk to some of them, and none of them wanted to talk to me, and they were all mean and weird. So I was like, okay, that's funny. I'm not accepted with this crowd. Okay, cool, whatever. I'll go home. And there was a fight that broke out at this exact spot that this year at that same like party, a fight broke out at the exact same spot. So I believe that could have been a ritual, but I don't think it was a ritual. I think that there was an organic, energetic ley line because I live in Arizona, and like if I drive by something, I'll get a bad feeling. It's just in Arizona, but maybe I'm just Pisces and creative and weird and sensitive to stuff, and I'm just making stuff up in my imagination. But I think that's just a weird thing. I like to cover the damned information. Shout out to Charles Fort.
Charles Fort, the goat, bro, the goat. Have you looked into Disney at all in recent times? I seen a screenshot the other day that was talking about how there's been a spike in Google searches for Disney bombing. Have you seen
No,
that?
tell me about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I have to find the screenshot on it, but in the recent weeks before the new year, there was a bunch of different Google search results for Disneyland bombing, which we know that they love to prime that type of thing. It hits the search results like days or weeks before, just like with the Charlie Kirk assassination. Tyler Robinson was Googled heavily before it even happened. Yeah, I can't find the screenshot here, but it was just a graph that saw that showed where the Google search results. So maybe that might be something to look for in the future. Is something
I haven't heard about that, but that's interesting.
I might have to try and look into that. Do you remember this? What was it? Was it In and Out or no? It was Outback Steakhouse.
Mhm.
You remember the Outback Steakhouse
Where there
thing?
was like a pentagram of their locations.
Yes.
Yes,
Weird.
yes. That is weird. In and Out is one of the most occult companies on the planet. And I like to say that because they have an occult menu, a hidden menu, and they have occult messaging of Bible quotes on their soft drinks. And I like to say stuff that's like that because all occult means is hidden. So there's a hidden menu, meaning it's a occult menu. So it just breaks people's brains. I'm not saying like it's an evil corporation, but I just like to say funny things that break people's brains. So they get wicked smart. But In and Out, I've been looking into because they have two palm trees in the shape of an X almost, sort of like an X. Not really an X, it's more of like a tuning fork. So In and Out has two palm trees in the shape of a tuning fork X, sort of. And the palm tree is a Knights Templar symbol. It goes back to even more ancient symbols. And so when I'm looking at stuff, I'm always just trying to uncover something strange happening, because fast food restaurants are real estate companies. So they get the top prime locations of a energetic ley line all over the world, like McDonald's or whatever, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is a pharmaceutical company that, even when it changed to a soft drink company, the same location where the pharmaceutical company of Coca-Cola headquarters was at is now a Walgreens pharmacy. So it's still like on an energetic ley line, pushing stuff. And the whole soda deep dive I did recently was like carbonated soda was believed to be spirits in the air water. And those spirits would like heal people. So you'd go to a pharmacy and they would serve you carbonated soda to heal people. So it's a funny. I like to look into the funny stuff that's strange, but then tie it into a lot of the Jordan Maxwell research, as well as he was showing like the Oreos are the Knights Templar Oreos, and they're black and white too, so they're very Templar-esque.
Did you have a lot of contact with Jordan Maxwell before he passed away?
No. I got to speak to the man 5 times. I did 2 podcasts with him, did a private phone call before the podcast and asked him if I could podcast. I contacted him before when I was working for another YouTube channel to get him on that show, and we talked on the phone, and then he passed away very shortly after our last podcast. But I've consumed his material for decades and decades, and I still listen to him. I'm just a big fan of him, but I'm also a big fan of a lot of other researchers. I know Jordan was a huge fan of the man you work with in your documentaries as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to meet him once at UFO MegaCon in 2021.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where he shouted out your boy. Because yeah.
Dang, I cannot find this graph, dude. I was trying to. I didn't come prepared. It was just you.
I got a bunch of slides. I could go to different slides and you could be like, what is that? But here's just the Golden Globes, how they're wearing the black and white, just like this ceremony with Miley Cyrus, I think in that same year, 2021 or maybe 2023. But I just kind of brought up slides of what's happening in the news right now. And one of the things is Americans banned from using phone for more than an hour per day under groundbreaking new law. Now think about this. When we're in the Neuralink network, where people are merged with man and machine in a Ready Player One scenario, you're not going to be allowed to get the universal basic compute. So the universal basic compute will be giving us pretty much energy credits to be able to use the greater AI system. So we got the poor AI, the elites will be using the new ones, and these tiptoes, which might seem like a good thing, even with what's going on with like Trump going against the Federal Reserve. It sounds like good stuff on paper, but there's a longer technocratic plan in place that are set up as traps to put people on asset-based cryptocurrency blockchain. That's part of the technocracy goal, is to put every single thing on the blockchain, according to BlackRock and according to other religious laws that are out there as well. So there's always just 2 things that we can do. We can either say it's a UFO or it's a spy balloon. It's either we're the left or we're the right, or we're pro this or we're pro that. There's always just two choices when there's a billion choices out there. There's a billion possibilities, but it's either the end of the world or it's going to be a utopia, dystopia, utopia. And I don't even know what I'm saying, but here's just some of them slides. Here's the butt slides. Like, this is a funny thing, and I need the audience help with it. I'm trying to figure out the esoteric meaning of how they plugged the face and they unleashed all the butt stuff. Like everything was about butt stuff, like during the lockdowns while everybody's face was covered. And I'm trying to think of what would the esoteric meaning of that be. It could mean something deep, as silly as it sounds, but
unplug, cover one hole and plug the other hole.
yeah, I think there's something to it. I'm gonna keep researching it.
Well, there's something to fertility for sure. A lot of women at the moment are not fertile, which leads me to believe that that has 100% been an agenda. It's like, we'll create the problem and then we'll sell you the solution. It's the same thing that they did with addiction and getting people on, opiates, was then to get them off of opiates with another drug. So they're making money both ways, right? So I think that there has been this coordinated effort to get people to not procreate, so then they can sell them the treatment for whenever they do want to actually procreate. Okay, so then that makes it where only the people that have a lot of money are able to have children.
It's pretty nuts. I've been following a lot of the pronatalist research over the last few years because it is very fascinating. The different birth declines and what different countries or what wealthy or poorer countries who is procreating, because this kind of ties into the William Reich's work, which was his work was banned from the socialist movement and America, and his research, which went into the bioenergetics and that life force or the libido. Like Freud was very banned as well. And I've been tying it into the sex recession, which I've been covering since the beginning of my journey on my channel with the Super Bowls and all that. And how, have you heard about the sex recession?
I think you might have mentioned it on our previous show together.
It's interesting. And so I try to connect it, to make it fun, to make it different, to get people thinking with the William Reich and the rise of fascism and the fascist symbols that are being pushed to the collective. And with the birth decline and people not mating anymore, people aren't mating that are even married. That's in decline as well. It's just interesting. It's I gotta write a book. All the great researchers that I like, they all sat down, took all their information, and put a thesis together in a book to really understand it. And I've never done that yet. And that's something that I want to do this year, is gather all the information, because it's been like 7 years of collecting data, so I could put together more cohesive thought on all these different topics, which I haven't done yet. So it's very chaotic, which is fun, but that's something I want to do. I'll be right back.
This super chat on Donut's channel. Thank you very much. I'm in the control of this channel. It's streaming on my channel, Raised by Giants, and on Donut's channel, but this is one of Donut's super chats. So I will just thank you for sending in that super chat to Donut's channel. Come over to my channel, send me some super chats. I need some super chats too, guys. Come on. But he says at the end of X-Men 2 was A Phoenix Rising. Yes, I believe that people really need to go back and listen and watch those X-Men movies again. They are very incredible. It goes into young and gifted children being kidnapped by an evil person to brought into like trafficking them to you run experiments on them. It's got like it's really insane. It's got injections to get rid of those mutant abilities in X-Men 3. It's really, really crazy. And if you watch all three of those like back to back, like I did a couple of years ago, I think that your mind will kind of be blown. X-Men 2 is my favorite X-Men movie ever, next to Logan. Logan was really great. But yeah, I would definitely check out those X-Men movies. They definitely deserve a rewatch for sure, because the Gate programs, that's what my next documentary is going to encompass. It's going to be about the Stargate program, the government psychic spy program that ran from 1978 to 1999. It's also going to talk about the school gate programs, which I 100% believe was testing for psychic abilities within young children. And they were trying to find other psychics. I mean, there's documentation for these programs that ran under different names in different states. In California, it was called MGM, Mentally Gifted Minds. In other states, it was called something completely different. But that's where my next documentary is going to go into here. Donut,
Thank
I was just
you for the super chat. And everybody, I do have Ryder Lee's YouTube link down below. Go subscribe to his YouTube link to get wiki smart.
wiki. Well, if you're ready to, do you have anything else that you want to talk about, or you ready to wrap up?
I got all these different slides. I just so many things going on. But this is why they chose Bad Bunny to do the Super Bowl. He's so connected with what I think this ritual going down is going to be. But yeah,
Is that him in the checkerboard?
yeah,
Sure.
yeah. That's the Vanity Fair, very left leaning. Look at right there. It says artificial intelligence. Like these covers, I even think the words that they use are connected to what they're going to show. I wonder if I have the twerking Tesla bots on this. No, I don't. But yeah, look, this one's called his song Illuminatus.
Illuminatus. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really strange. I've never even. I'm guessing that it's just complete and total garbage music.
I've never listened to it before.
I mean, anything that kind of comes out of mainstream music is almost guaranteed to be garbage.
Yes, yes. It's mind
Just
control.
do you ever listen to Hobson?
Yeah,
The
my friend was in his first music video.
No way. I love Hobson, dude. He was really incredible. He hasn't done anything for a long time. I think he got the call. Pretty sure he got the call.
I
But
don't know. I don't know. I never really got into listening to him, but he never got mainstream. So I don't know if he would have gotten the call. But what was he doing? Because
no,
I didn't follow
I
his
think he got the call to like join or don't join, and you're not going to become anything. And he didn't join, and he didn't become
Oh,
anything.
sure. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I guess the call could mean the other thing too. But that's what I think happened. But yeah, he had this one song that was just making fun of current rap, and he's like, "Yeah, this thing just has a hard ass beat behind it to trick people like you into thinking that it's good." And then he just made this like gibberish rap song that literally just had a hard beat behind it to with stupid ass lyrics that is just gibberish. and it kind of goes hard. It does. So it's like, what are they even doing?
I'm working on a rap song with. I'm thinking of maybe even doing it or plugging it into the AI on. It's called Cthulhu in the fish tank in my fish tank, and it's about this rapper who summons Cthulhu, puts it in his fish tank, trains it, and then he goes does gangsta stuff and like goes robs stores and stuff.
You should reach out to one of my friends, Diesel Automatic. He's been on my show several times. He's a conscious rapper. Have you ever heard of him?
No, I'm very. I don't really listen to any conscious. It's really sad, but I don't listen to much conscious raps. I'm very into puns and lyrics and wordplay. So usually when I listen to music, that's sort of what brings me into it. But I also like the stupid, like dumbed down music. I think it's because I'm reading and thinking so much. I need something to, and sober, that I need something that's just kind of basic. That probably Hobson would disagree with.
Turn your brain off type of music.
Yes, exactly.
Do you listen to any metal?
I love metal. I think Iron Maiden should play at the Super Bowl and remove Bad Bunny.
Yes, I agree. That would be incredible. Or even
I like
Metallica.
all kind of music. I like everything, but my track record is definitely I listen to mostly hip hop.
Who do you like? Who's your favorite? Like current hip hop or old hip hop?
Pretty current. I like BLP Kosher. I like his wordplay. I like his beats. I like Gucci Mane. I like the beats, and I like kind of just how I don't have to think when I listen to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really listen to any current hip hop stuff.
I really like Sean Price, but I don't haven't really listened to him a lot this year. We're only 13 days into the year, so we'll see.
What about country, bro? All these rap stars are doing country stuff now, bro. Beyonce and her country album, Post Malone in his
Yeah, I
country.
like old school country. Waylon Jennings, is that his name? I like him. I like. I used to play bluegrass music. I used to play at bluegrass festivals and stuff. So very country at a young age. So my parents like country, and I sort of rebelled against. But rap and country are the same thing when it comes to the AB poetry. So if you take a rap song, you could put it to a country song easy, and vice versa.
That's why those things kind of merged in there in the early 2000s. You remember that?
Yeah, remember the Old
Oh,
Town Road?
wow. Remember that song over and over again?
Remember Old Town Road? How
Yeah.
Lil Nas X? That was like the beginning of it, of moving rap into country.
Well, even went back further. I think that Nelly and Tim McGraw song was like 2003. And then you had Kid Rock as well going country.
Yeah, he's the Bohemian Grove bodyguard. He punches people who infiltrate it.
In California at Bohemian Grove?
That's what he said on Joe Rogan.
No way.
Yeah, he's all like, he's the security guard at Bohemian Grove and he punches people who infiltrate it.
What?
The truth is stranger than fiction.
That's wild.
And he had that Ball with the Boss song, which I heard was like some sort of chant. Like, when has Kid Rock released anything new? Maybe he has, but no.
I think that he did something in 2019 or something that was like a far right leaning album against Joe Biden. I think he came out into like a rap type thing.
Sleepy
It's kind of
Joe.
funny. I listened to one song. It was kind of funny. The music video was funny.
Yeah, I think I saw that too. I like that one. I like. I don't know. I like music a lot. But I'm not. It's all over the place with me.
Yeah. What movies and TV shows have you been watching recently besides Stranger Things?
I've been watching The Paper, which is the Office update. I think it's a very cute show. I think it's nice, very funny, good acting. I liked it a lot as a big fan of the show The Office because it's, light and humorous, and I like that. Pluribus won an award. I thought that was good and very thought provoking, and goes into a lot of the philosophy I've been reading on subjectivism and objectivism. I believe that's how the words are, of just individualistic and collective thinking, which goes into different ideologies as well, which I've been studying the last few years. So the Pluribus show, I did enjoy that. So the Pluribus and the Paper are probably the two shows. There's this new movie called Greenland that's coming out, or it's out. I want to see that. I saw the Primate movie. It was awful, which was not a good horror film. It could have been good. It could have been good, but it feels like it was rushed. If they took more time writing the script and filming it, it could have been better. And I like Friendship. That movie was really good. Tim Robinson's work on The Chair Company was really good. Um, have you seen The Chair Company?
I have not seen The Chair Company, but I watched The Paper. I really enjoyed The Paper. I thought it was really good.
Oh, cool.
Um, I have not watched Pluribus or Plurbius or whatever it is. I really want to. I just don't have Apple TV at the moment because Severance isn't on there. Well, they haven't released a new season of Severance yet, which I'm waiting on to get it because I think Severance is a really wild. Have you watched Severance?
I watched the first season and I really liked it.
Bro, it gets insane. You got to finish that.
I will.
Finish the second season. Then there's another really good show on MGM Plus. It's called From. Have you ever seen
Oh yeah,
From?
sure. My friend Ani Osaru, you would like to interview him. He's got some wild stuff. You'll enjoy it. Um, he covered that. It seems nuts.
Really good show. I highly recommend it on MGM Plus. I've been looking for someone.
Oh, the psychotronics type of stuff had a show with the Stephen King universe on MGM Plus, I think.
Cute.
The Institute, yeah. That was
Really good show too. Capturing psychic kids to run experiments and create remote assassins.
nuts.
Yes. I think Stephen King knows some stuff, bro. I
Oh
think
yeah,
some stuff.
for sure. His last movie called The Walk, which was just an anti-Trump hit piece. There was some Illuminati stuff in it. That The Walk, where they do this ritualistic sacrifice, happens on May 1st, which is the Illuminati founding date.
I did watch the. Was it the Long Walk or the Walk? I can't
It was
remember.
a long walk. It was boring.
Yeah, it wasn't the best, but it Welcome to Derry was pretty good. Did you watch that?
I started to watch it, but then when the beginning scene of her giving birth to the moon child, it just freaked me out, and I probably just put the paper back on.
Yeah, it was really weird how they. I mean, I thought that it was going to be something. I thought they were going to get into it quicker because everyone knows its story. So, but it turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah,
But
he
another
was
thing
really good.
involving kids, almost every Stephen King adaptation involves some kind of kid.
Yeah, there's definitely some sort of um, Stanley Kubrick connection probably in with it as well, right? With the universe of The Shining.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. 100% there is. Watch my documentary A Clockwork Shining, Frequency 3, baby. Plug
Great,
it.
yeah, great documentary. I loved how you connected it to. I won't even ruin it, but you got to watch it. It's fantastic.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that's where we're at. Was there any other predictions that you had for 2026 that we didn't cover?
Yeah, the predictions or the three predictions is the gambling being promoted so people lose the money, the North Korea going to be in the news, and uh, the robot mating ritual at the Olympics with Billie Eilish.
Is she confirmed to be one of
She's
the?
not. She's not, but she's part of the UN and the messaging and the Olympics that are going to be going on. And her brother does the intro to the Apple. When you watch the Apple shows, the music, little bloop, bloop, bloop sound, her brother made that resonant frequency for people to tune into. And Apple is who is putting on the halftime show ritual. So just kind of following the team, that's where I'm kind of connecting dots with.
Incredible. Well, we'll have to do a show sometime in the future to see if any of that comes true. I think you're on to something there. I mean, that would be crazy if all that stuff happened. You've been on the money with some other things, so I think anything is possible. Can you let people know where to find you online, brother?
You can find me at DOENUT, Donut.
On YouTube, and you still got the Illuminati comic?
Got the Illuminati comic, just sold out of the occult calendar. It's a Tick Track comic that's still available. Make sure to go grab it. Yes.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Links to Donut. His channel is in the description of this video if you're listening on my channel, Raised by Giants on YouTube. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for being here. Please be sure to hit the thumbs up button to help the channel and the algorithm. Share, subscribe, hit the bell icon as well for notifications. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.